I think truly almost nothing is original, you know, like there's people throughout history who have had all these ideas and stuff. So I think pretty famous quote from, I can't remember who said it, but some old Chinese like philosopher guy, when he said, the man who loves walking will walk further than the man who loves the destination. And I think that perfectly encompasses the title for our camp, which is Action for the Process.
This is the Mental Mettle Podcast, where we explore how to forge mental toughness and resilience in every aspect of life. Welcome, I'm your host, Coach Matt Thomann. I'm an ICF certified professional coach with a background as a teacher, basketball coach, and athletic director. But my journey took a dramatic turn in 2020 when I survived both cancer and a stroke. Those experiences shaped my mission, help others grow stronger in every facet of life. Today, I work with athletes, coaches, educators, and anyone who believes that positive mental health is both achievable and a personal responsibility. This podcast is dedicated to helping listeners develop a positive version of toughness, one rooted in resilience, focus, and growth. Whether you're looking to excel on the field, in the classroom, or in life, this is your space to learn, grow, and take action. Join me on this journey, and together, let's forge your mettle. Welcome back, Metalheads. It's Coach Thomann here on the Mental Mettle Podcast, and today we're talking about process and the importance of loving the process, enjoying the process. And we're going to talk about that from a couple different angles. First of all, we've all heard that idea about trusting the process, embracing the process, and I think it's phenomenal. It's a great idea. I don't think we always miss. There's a couple things we miss. One, I think it becomes white noise when we keep saying it to coaches, you keep saying it to kids, or even to ourselves about embrace the process. It becomes white noise, and we don't really understand what that means. And two, I think that a lot of times we don't understand what the process is or how difficult the process can be. And when we talk about the process, we're also talking about the process that yields something. Typically, like you follow a recipe, it's a process to get, you want to bake a cake, you follow the process, follow the recipe, you get a cake. And I think that is true, that we look at the process whenever we're trying to work out, do things mentally, do things physically, emotionally, and try to better ourselves. We're trying to get an end goal, but you cannot do it all with the end goal in mind. There has to be something to be said for enjoying the process for the process sake. Let me give you a little bit of background on what I'm talking about. So, and how I'm going to apply that. So it is the first of the month. So typically in 2025, the first of the month, I've introduced my new monthly mettle challenge. And I always try something new, some new tactics, some mindfulness tactics, something to increase my mental health. And I've really been enjoying it. I've done things like focusing on gratitude, increasing my faith, done some fasting, done some yoga, some digital detox, and then also some sauna followed by ice baths, things like that. Now doing some yoga as well. And those are phenomenal things that I've been developing, and I'm still doing some of them, all of them a little bit. For July, I'm not going to put something new in. I'm going to do two things in this episode. One, I want to talk about like how I'm going to start developing the process for myself using the things I've already worked on. And then we're also going to talk about a basketball camp that I've been running with my son. I'm going to talk to my son, Lane Thomann, and Jarrett Brown of East Peoria, who we did the basketball camp with, and talk about the importance of process-oriented coaching and how to develop that process. So just a little bit on what I plan to do for July for my own process. I'm not going to introduce something new. I'm just going to focus on having a very dedicated process that I'm going to do every day. And I'm just going to incorporate some of the things that I've already been practicing a little bit. So for instance, I will get up every day and I've already been doing this, but starting my day with leaning into my faith, doing some Bible reading, some prayer. I'm going to do fasting, the fasting that I've done before, the 16-8, where I don't eat for 16 hours. Then I can eat for 8 hours. So that one, we've been doing the yoga. I'm going to continue to do that. I've been doing that with my wife, and my son's been home. And that has actually been, it's not been much, but it's just like 10 minutes every night. But it's become this family function that we really enjoy it. And we're going to be part of the process, do that every night before we go to bed. And then I'm also going to continue with the detox of my phone, where it stays up on the charger in the morning while I'm working, and then it goes on the charger by, I think, like 8 o'clock is what I'm going to do every night, so that it helps me get to sleep. And this is going to be something I'm less worried about what I get out of it as I am about developing a process for 30 days and just doing this every day and making sure it's something I do and building that process. And when I talk about process, I'm talking about developing a process that you don't need motivation for. I think that ultimately we have to have a little bit of motivation on why we do something, but I think that motivation is overrated. I think that motivation ebbs and flows. Some days are motivated, some days you aren't. Sometimes your idea of the things that motivate you change and shift. But if you can develop a process and it becomes a healthy habit, then it becomes something you do where you don't have to have no motivation every day. You just do it because you do it. And that's a hard thing to do, but it's longer lasting. It's a hard thing at first, right? Developing habits take time. I could get into the psychology on this and how it can take, I'm going to do this for 30 days. That might be enough. They usually say 28 days, 30 days, but there's a whole story on why that's not, like, that's the minimum. Like, you need a little bit more. So 30 days, I think, for June here, it's going to be a good amount of time for me to do, and hopefully I can keep going. I'm sorry, July, I'm going to do it. So 31 days. But I plan to do that and just be in the process. And like I always say, whenever I go work somewhere, when people introduce me as a motivational speaker, I correct them. I don't get offended necessarily, but I correct them and say that I'm not a motivational speaker. If you leave from one of my speaking engagements or coaching session and you feel motivated, I'm all for you. I'm all for it. I love it. Be motivated, but that's not my goal. I feel like if we've all been to the motivational speaker that speaks really well, does things, gets you really encouraged, and you get excited about something, and then by the maybe you get motivated to do something, but by 3 days after, you really don't remember what he or she said, just how you felt, which is good. I think you need to have that to get going and maybe get a little kickstart. But I think I like to focus on process and understanding and giving you some reasons why this process is important and why it's something you need to start developing, and be really honest about this. This is going to be hard to start this new process, whatever it is we're working on, whether I'm working with an athlete, a coach, a team, whatever. Like I always say, this is not a quick thing. This is something you have to continue to work on. And I talk about that accountability and how we can build that process to continue to get better. So I don't like to call myself a motivational speaker. I'm all about developing the process. And I don't know about what you call that, what kind of speaker I am, but that's what I look for, is how to develop that process. Because again, motivation is fleeting. And that's something I'm going to try to do in July. And that's something to do, what I'm putting in this camp, this basketball camp that my son, Lane Thomann, and I are working on, and we've done it already. And that's what this conversation, the interview, is going to be about, is how we ran this camp. And it's just, it was the coolest thing I've done so far in coaching. We got the idea, if you hear me talking with athletes about, there's three skill sets you need to be elite in an athletic endeavor, in a sport. You have to have the game skills, you have to have the physical skills, bigger, faster, stronger, and you have to have the mental skills. And our culture is really good at 1 and 2. We spend a lot of money a lot of time on 1 and 2, and then we just assume the third one's going to happen by accident, which is not correct. Some kids it will. They'll just in gaining 1 and 2, they'll gain that mental skill. But we have a lot of kids who don't, and a lot of kids are dropping out of sports at a younger age because it's hard, it's difficult, there's a lot of pressure, and they don't work on the mental skills, so they just quit, and then they never gain the advantage of having played a sport as a kid or through high school because they just give up on it, and they're missing a lot of that. And I think that if we can flip it, if we can get kids to focus on the mental, then the other becomes easier, and they understand how to handle that adversity. So we put this, my son and I put this camp together with the idea of, in a basketball camp, it's a 3-hour basketball camp, and an hour each is spent on one of the skill sets. So we start with about an hour in the classroom doing some of the mental coaching that I working on our confidence, our voice, our values, our team values, how do we handle conflict within a team, and then as we go from that session, every kid has a focus as they get into a really difficult workout and a really difficult basketball workout, and then we're able to adjust those in real time, those focuses they have and those plans they have, that mental stuff, so they can see it happen in real time. It's a really cool stuff. Really enjoyed it. And it's, we call it Passion for the Process Camp. The other reason I got it, and we're going to talk about that here in a minute, is my son is a very definitely has passion for the process, and he's a very process-oriented kid, and it has worked out really well for him. He was a very small kid when he came into high school, and he had to focus on his process and getting better before the testosterone came, right? And then when it did come, he already had the process embedded, was part of his makeup because he needed it, and then it didn't go away. And I talk about a lot about the benefit of being a late bloomer. There's a really good episode of mine with Ryland Holt, who was at GCMS, a very late bloomer, didn't really play at all in junior high, but stuck with it, and now he's playing pro basketball. And there's a lot to be said for a kid that's a late bloomer if they can learn to enjoy the process. So that's what this camp is about, is working with high school kids to be able to learn how to enjoy the process, have a passion for the process, very process oriented. So we're going to get into this interview with Coach Jarrett Brown of East Peoria, who we did the camp with, and my son Lane Thomann, who's helping me run the camp. So much fun, great interview, a couple great guys, and so just some good back and forth conversation about this and stuff you guys can, as coaches, athlete, and as parents, can pick up. Your athlete probably spends hours working on the specific skill set they need for their sport, and they probably spend hours in the weight room building their body. But how much time do they spend intentionally training their mind? Well, building mindset is the key to bridging the gap between the skills that we see and game execution. Well, Mental Mettle Coaching provides individual programs that can help your athlete develop this third and crucial skill set. All right, here we go, gentlemen. It's your host here, Coach Matt Thomann, and I'm here with my son, Lane Thomann, and Coach Jarrett Brown of East Peoria. How you guys doing?
Good.
Doing well.
First recurring guest.
I've had it now. See, I've had recurring guests. I've had JJ G'day came on.
Oh,
he came
right.
a second. So you are recurring guests. But I don't do. I don't. It's just not. It's first. It's what I don't do a lot of is multiple guests at the same time. So I don't know how to. I don't know.
You did one with Audrey, didn't you?
I did, but that was been a while ago, so I don't know how to moderate this too much. So, but I think we'll be all right. Like you said, I know you guys were saying before we jump on, I wish I had a studio. So if anybody listens to this and they want to help me fund a little sponsorship for the Mental Mettle Podcast studios, I'm all ears. So anyway, who knows? Maybe.
As I know Lane the way I do, I won't have to say much because he will dominate the conversation.
Oh, sure. Well, between the two of you, I'm hoping I'm going to have to push this stuff along a little bit, but that's okay. So I want to talk about what we're going to talk about here today is a camp that Lane and I are running, and Coach, you hired us to do it. And I think The reason I want to talk about it, I could be wrong, but I think it's really cool. I like the system. I like the program. I've never seen a camp quite like this before. And just to reiterate a little bit on what it is, it's a basketball camp that focuses on what I talk about are the 3 skill sets that you need to be successful. You need physical skills. You got to be able to jump, push, be stronger, bigger, faster, stronger. You got to have basketball skills, which everybody knows. But then you also have to have mental skills. And I think that in our culture right now, 2 of the 3 are something that we spend a lot of time and money, as you are sitting there at an AAU practice, coach, sitting outside of it, right? We have no trouble putting time and money into that, but we don't always do the mental. And then I kind of got the idea going and thinking we could do a camp that does all 3, and hence what we're talking about. And the other reason, the inspiration for this camp, and Lane, you're on here, and I'm going to do my best not to be like a proud dad here in this for a minute, but one of the ideas that got me going on this podcast was from this camp is Cody Myers, who is he's the DMAC football coach, and he's the strength and conditioning coach. And he would always joke to me and would always ask what the secret was and how you could do something to get a kid to enjoy it as much as Lane and see the progress that Lane does. And I used to just laugh at him and say, well, the secret is there's no secret, which is true. But then I realized that maybe one of the reasons, there's a lot of reasons kids don't work out as hard as much as they should or don't put as many hours in, is because it's a lot of work. But then a lot of them, I think there's a little bit of recognition or lack of recognition on what it actually takes to do it. So the idea behind the camp is to kind of show the mental, the physical, and the game skills that you have to work on quite often to be able to progress, to get better, and actually enjoy it as you do it. Did I capture that well, Lane?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a podcast, so you have to talk. You can't just say yeah.
I think you did. I mean, I owe a lot of credit to Cody because I think he was one that really showed me what it was, as I'm trying to do now to show other people. I think he was one of the first ones to really show me how to go about that process and really make myself great. But I think credit to myself, I was able to take that blueprint and take that process and really just run with it, because like we're talking about this camp, it's only 3 days, significant. It's like 3 or 5 days. Significant improvement isn't going to happen in 3 to 5 days. But I think my goal is to show kids like the blueprint, like I was shown, so that they can take that and build upon that themselves.
Right. And then I liked the idea. You and I started talking about it, and then I sat down with you, Coach, having coffee, and our goal, and we're still going to do this, is to run it as an individual camp and kids that want to come and do this. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you didn't even let me finish the explanation, and you said, "No, I'm gonna hire you to come work it with my guys."
That's right. I think when we were in session Thursday, I tried to explain my feelings about it then in front of our team and to you and Lane. But before I do that, let me just piggyback on something you said. Number one, I do like. I too appreciate Cody and his approach towards development, his ability to inspire, and his commitment to making it sustainable. Right. I think those are things that he's just not in it for the short term. The whole other podcast or maybe a series would be related around the type of person Lane is. And I don't know how that becomes. I don't know how he becomes who he is. Like if it's all parenting, if it's just by the grace of God, I don't know, but he's a grinder. That's what I call it. And he enjoys, I'm not trying to steal your words, Lane, but what I've seen, I've coached like 3 of them in my career. And what he enjoys is the process. I mean, really almost to an obsessive level, more so than the majority of people that play sport or play an instrument or do anything. So what I would be interested in doing it someday is entering into that conversation about how then, because there aren't that many that have that innate nature, how then can someone like Lane take what he is and how he thinks and start trying to move the needle for those of us, for those out there that don't. And so that's a whole other, I just want to touch on that because he's unique. I'm not saying you just become what he is, because it's unique. It's just unique. And so I'm so excited that he's doing what he's doing, because that's what, um, God gave him that ability, and he's sharing it with others already. And it's so exciting to watch. So yeah, go ahead.
So on that, Coach, I guess it's a question, and I don't want to end the podcast right here in this idea of camp, right? But are we talking about an idea that can be, you use the phrase "move the needle," right?
Yeah.
Is something like this, can it be developed?
Well, it can be, because you're a mental coach. I mean, you can develop different mental habits, approaches, and that sort of thing. But so yeah, can you get people to the level of Lane? I think that's, I don't know. I don't think you can get your whole team to that level of really enjoying the process of the workout and the grind and the day to day. I just think that's what fuels him. But yeah, yes, the answer is yes. You can move the needle.
We're talking about moving the needle, not creating completely different human beings.
Yes. Yeah. You're right. So I'm sorry to sidetrack us, but back to your point initially in regards to our the time we were having coffee and how you barely got it out of your mouth. I'm like, you need to be in front of our team. You and Lane need to be in front of our team, because I think it's totally a game changer what you guys are doing. We even talked about it kind of live that day. I was with you on Thursday, in that how it's set up with the mental training in the classroom, and then you actually see it being applied or not, and you can correct it uh, on real time, or apply it, or stop and say, remember what we talked about in the classroom? That's what we're talking. It's incredible. It's incredible. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If we could run a season of practices that way, like every single day, I can't afford you, Matt, but every single day, if we could do that, that would make sense to me. That's how important I think that this aspect you're touching on is.
Is that even if saying, even if I could be there every day, do you believe that it's worth the time that it would take away from practice?
Yes, 100%. As a matter of fact, I'm already working through how moving the shell game of money in high school athletics is, you try to figure it out. You don't have endless money. So I'm already trying to figure out, like, where am I going to, move our shells around in order to accommodate our program mentally in our training exercises with you, and take it away from something else. They may get less gear or something that doesn't matter at all. I mean, I just think it's that important.
Well, what's interesting is, and I had an inkling of how this camp was going to go, but it was funny. Lane and I spent a lot of time putting this together and figuring out how it was going to work. And I kind of said, I want to put the mental stuff, and I want to make sure it goes with the physical stuff we're doing for that day. And even Lane was like, I don't understand what you mean. Like, how can we incorporate it? Is that fair?
Yeah, it is.
And I thought, he'll see it. He'll get it. Like, and it wasn't so much, it didn't have to be exactly in tuned, but it had to be, something we were working on in the weight room and in the basketball gym that highlighted what the focus was that day in the mental that we did, if that makes sense. Where did you see that come up, Lane?
Well, like you were saying at the beginning, I was struggling because you have your set ideas for each day for the mental side, and you wanted me to connect it to the weight room and the basketball drills. And I was like, I I still don't know like if they like I can create a workout that specifically goes to what you want, but I knew that I could create a workout where the kids would struggle just enough to be able to bring out that adaptation or that focus that we were talking about in the classroom. So I just wanted to make sure that my stuff that I put together would be able to bring that out of them and give us those real-time examples so we could work on it then and there.
Here's where I saw it. The day you were there, Coach. I'll just give an example of what we did Thursday, so everybody sees it, and you guys can chime in as we go here. So on Thursday, we talked about positive self-talk, and I went through and talked to the guys about some of the research on negative self-talk, positive self-talk, the goods, the bads, what we should do, what we shouldn't do, and then also some of the research and some of the coaching on how to develop that, how we should get past one, and we should, work on the positives, right? And gave these guys an assignment, and they had to come up with how they wanted to talk to themselves in that third person. Again, it's all this psychology that we were doing about it. And then Lane's workouts are, if nothing else, the workouts are adversity. Right? They're putting them in the adversity. Some of it's physical, a lot of it's physical, some of it's mental, some of it. Anytime a kid is doing a new drill, it may not be the most physically thing, but it's mentally taxing because they don't know what to do. There's a lot of voice that comes with it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm an idiot. What are we doing? This is stupid. Things like that. And we started seeing them and the adversity hit each kid a little bit at a different time for different ways. And you can see it in body language. You can see that body language, and you can say, hey, you had a focus today on your positive voice. How are you doing on that right now? And we'd get a real-time answer. And the kids, I felt like, were surprisingly honest about it.
Yeah. I can only speak to this. Like, it wasn't, we were 2 minutes into the on-court stuff, and somebody missed a layup or a shot or whatever and reacted right in a negative way, and you were able to point it out right away. Like, it was really fresh, and it wasn't even a truly competitive scenario. But anytime you add any type of failure rate, weight room or on court in this case, to what we're doing, there's going to be, as you said, mental adversity. And let's face it, like, even though there's training to be done on how to be successful as well or handle success, that's really not where our kids are at. I mean, so they they need to deal with the adverse situations, as I do too. Learn how to do it better.
Well, I think there's a misunderstanding that high school boys are arrogant and cocky. I think that they come off that way, but I don't think that means that they don't have the negative voice and they don't have some of the issues that most people have. It's actually worse because they try to hide it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Thoughts, Lane?
I think, yeah, the beauty of this camp, I think, is that we can create, like, we have these focuses, and then we can create these adversity situations in an environment where there's really no risk. Like, there's no threat. Like, if you mess up or make a mistake and, like, have that negative voice and get down on yourself, like, we're right there to correct you. And the drill is just going to keep going, so you have an immediate reaction chance to fix it the next time. So I think that's a really good way to just rep out these things that we talk about in the classroom.
I agree. And I think one of the reasons I didn't really get into this, but it's something I said to the boys there about the need for this stuff on the neuroplasticity and have to change the way you react to missed shots and things like that, is that anyway, neuroplasticity is how we build new neurons and how we react to things and how we react in different situations. And the good and the bad of it is, the good is that it exists and we can use it and we can change our mindset about anything we want to change our mindset about. The bad is there's no off switch. So if you think it's okay to go in and just get down on yourself for missing shots and you don't adjust that, you're just reinforcing that pathway. And we see it all the time with kids. I mean, give me some examples, Coach, but you see kids getting tailspins about missed shots, turnovers, all that sort of thing.
Well, let me first say that's why it is going to be so important that we get consistent reps with you in working on this, because it's no different. I mean, we've got some dudes right now on our team that can perform the skills of the game quite well because they've done so many reps in the gym, dribbling it and shooting it, right? But not the mental reps that you're talking about. And I have had multiple kids, two in particular. I didn't bring this up, the training, the mental side of that camp that we ran, that loved it and admitted that going into it, they were like indifferent or even like, what is this? What are we doing? And came away with that as being a major eye opener for them in regards to elevating their potential success in the sport, by just working on that. So that's the first thing. Like we have to rep it out. We have to continue to rep this. And I look at it almost like a, like for men, I can speak about men because I am one. We're different. We put everything in categories, almost like a filing cabinet.
Yeah.
And we open up this one and we take out what we need, and so if we don't put new files in the filing cabinet or create a new drawer or whatever silly analogy you want to use, then we're always going to go back to the same thing. And even as you train us to do better, we will always fall to the level of that training. I just believe that until we do rewire our brains, and it's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time, a lot of reps.
Yeah, I think there's a couple things there. One, I'm thrilled to death to hear that the boys kind of enjoyed that and liked it. It's the same reaction I get every time I go into somewhere. Like it's time I work with a brand new client or a brand new team. It's like, what is this? It's weird, right? It's like, yeah. I don't need this. This is like therapy. I don't need this. And I'm always trying to, it's something I'm always fighting against.
Yeah.
But I see that a lot. A lot of kids are like, well, I mean, honestly, like we get in there and we're doing belly breathing and deep breathing, and kids can laugh. They can, because it's awkward. And I think a lot of times a coach might do that the first time, and they'll think, well, the kids are laughing, so they must, so we're not going to do it again. Well, you got to get past that, right? That's the natural reaction. I'm gonna Coach, you cannot believe what Lane did the last day. You weren't even there. We did our breathing we did our breathing the last day. We're actually doing a visualization I call about future self. It's a really good one. You can ask your boys about it. You kind of like look in the future, talk to yourself about what you've learned, how you're gonna use that over the next year. And so I think, but in order for you to be successful at something, you at least have to envision it first, right?
Yes.
I think you have to, right? And we don't do enough of that. And that can be also on the process. See yourself in the process. So we're doing this, we're asking to get a deep breath, and Lane decided to get comfortable. And
we were still on the gym floor. It was right after we got done.
You guys were all sweaty.
Right after we were done with the whole workout. So we were all sweaty.
Well, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, he did that thing where he laid down on his back and he had the sweat fart noise from and I'm in the middle of trying to get these guys to, and I thought, and there's a good lesson here, because I thought I'm going to lose him, right? I'm going to lose him, right?
Yeah.
And everybody laughed for like a second, and then they were right back in it. And I thought, okay, this is actually
I did it on purpose, actually.
Sure, I appreciate it. I was like, I will actually take that as a good sign that they had a big distraction.
Yeah.
and then they still just kept going.
Yeah.
Lane, talk to me a little bit about the workouts that you put together for them.
So, as Coach Brown has mentioned, like I truly do enjoy the workouts more than the games. I truly do. I mean, I agree that it is unique, and so once I've realized this, I've like just fully engulfed myself into just learning everything I can about like weightlifting and training and all that. So I just wanted to put together a program where I could like manufacture a little bit of failure and manufacture intensity and pace that I intended to get so that I could replicate like real life game like situations. So like for example, when we did our big compound lifts like squat and bench press, I set it up, and since I didn't have like their maxes, so I couldn't have percentages and stuff like that, what I did was I set the rep range between 4 and 6, and I told them if they got 6 reps, then move up weight. And if they got 4 reps, if they barely got 4 reps, then maybe move down 5 pounds. And with that, I wanted them so they physically like couldn't sandbag. Like I wanted, if they got 6 reps, you have to move up weight to challenge yourself and hopefully like fail on that 4th rep. You know, like you're going to have your spotter there. I want you to be pushing and fail, because in the weight room, truly, you only grow when you fail. And then the other workout we did, the Friday one, was as many rounds as possible in a full 40-minute, as many rounds as possible, which you mentioned, Dad, like 40 minutes, that's a college game. Like you could be working for 40 minutes straight. So that's kind of what the intent behind that one was that we have these exercises. I believe it was 9 exercises, and you're like, the weight isn't going to be light. So like we're going to be working, but you're going to try and get as many rounds as you can. And you can take breaks on your own time, but every time you take a break, you're going to be able to get a little less. So like you may force yourself that, oh, do I really need to go get a drink right now? Do I need to take a break? Like, no, go to the next exercise and get moving.
Yeah, and I think we did that. We set that exercise up and said, if you at the end of these 40 minutes, if you're not tired and exhausted, that is your decision.
Yeah.
Right. Which I think is, again, we're trying to make this a difficult camp. We want to have failure, but then we want them to see that failure and the hard work is how they're going to grow.
Yeah.
Okay. What about the basketball workouts?
The basketball workouts, I just took workouts that I've accumulated throughout the years and drills and stuff that I like that I knew were challenging for me, or it could be modified to different like skill levels. Like I had multiple drills in there where you could change how many makes you have to get, change the time limit, change this and that. So like if you were on like a lower end of the spectrum, it would be challenging for you, but not so challenging that it's just daunting and absolutely impossible that you think, how am I ever going to be able to do this? To where, for example, shooting workouts that we were doing and like Cole was doing them, I knew that I could like set it up to where like I'm going to put this on the hardest level possible because I know he can handle that, you know? So that's kind of how I went about those. And then I also wanted to make sure that I can make every drill as possible, like as competitive as I could. Like I didn't want to have any drills where it was just going through the motions. Like I wanted, if you were doing a shooting drill, okay, keep track, and then at the end, everybody's going to say their score. And then we did one drill on Thursday where it was like one-on-one in a situation, reading the down screen, and you're playing one-on-one. And then whoever scores the most buckets at the end wins. So I'm just trying to create drills where I can manufacture intensity and competitiveness.
So out of that, and I like that you said, we did talk about this in the camp, that most of the shooting drills were ones that you can do on a gun or with a partner or something like that. So you can do these shooting drills and compete against yourself in the future.
Exactly. Because most of them, you have a score at the end that you get. Just go into your notes app on your phone, write down the date, put the score down. Next time you do it, go back, see how you did.
And then, of course, anytime we have competition, you can call competition adversity, so that just because, everybody wants to win. I think one of the things, and you can speak to this, Coach, you notice that one of the things that I tried to do the entire day is that in those times of failure, recognizing that failure and responding to it in a very positive way, which is something that's a struggle sometimes as a coach.
Yeah. Well, number one, to Lane's point, like I thought the weight room and the court, I thought they really complemented each other well, because there is, as you just mentioned, a tracking component. Like, you can keep track, and you can get better individually. That independent side of your training. A lot of this stuff had a team component as well, where you're leaning into someone else or you're dependent on somebody else. Interdependent, which we've talked a lot about as a team, of combining those two. So I thought it was a real good blend of in terms of complementing one another. But as far as the competition on the court, as you just mentioned, yeah, I mean, I think we talked about it the day I was there. How much I work at and concentrate on, encouraging them what to do versus what not to do, using positive words and that sort of thing. But yet, it is really hard to do. And sometimes I've got to stop myself from saying what I was getting ready to say in regards to it being negative or what not to do. Like, don't turn the ball over instead of taking care of the ball or whatever, So that is difficult. But what I really liked what you did, what I learned from personally, is when you brought it back to a potential mental error that was made that affected them on the court physically, whether it was body language or whatever, negative talk. You made a correction and quickly moved on to the next thing, which is this sport. That's what this sport demands and calls for. And I personally, why it was so important for me to watch, because I personally can overdo the instructive moment, right? Like, really use too many words, like I'm doing now. So, so that's a real big thing for me to learn from too. As other coaches may struggle with that, I don't know.
It depends on the level of your kids, but most of your kids kind of know them when they mess up, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot. I think that, no, it was good. And you and I would have conversations on the side, which is like, Again, I envisioned this for being a individual camp, and youth immediately saw the youth as a team camp. And then as the week went on, I was like, he's right. I feel like one of the things, and I haven't talked to you guys about this, anytime that we do group coaching, and that's what we would call that when I'm talking about the mental, we call it group coaching. There's always a topic, right? So our topic is positive self-talk, or finding controllables, or adjusting mindset in basketball. That's our topic. But the main goal of a group coaching session is to reveal the group unto itself, right? So without just saying that, we're not just doing a team bonding bowling exercise, right? Which is fine. You can do those. But we're having our guys in a room talking about their fears, their voice, what upsets them, what sets them off, what they want to accomplish, how they want to accomplish it, and they have that conversation together, and they start learning about each other, what makes them tick, and I feel like they really start to know each other a lot better, that's what you want out of a team, right?
I mean, that, like, the way you just described that, and what it could create within our team currently just gives me chills to think about, because and it's not, let me put it this way, it's not because it'll help us win more games. I don't know, but it's because the experience they will have will be one in which they won't experience anywhere else. I don't care how good a company they work for someday. They're not going to experience what that is like with a team if we're able to get there. It just doesn't present itself in a lot of other areas. So that's why it excites me that they potentially can experience something that's really positive, and then pay that forward, as they go.
Well, yeah, because I think we've all been on teams where you have an inkling of that, and then you've been on teams where there's none of that.
Yeah.
And they're two different animals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. One of the things that I really liked, and you guys can, chime in on this, but I love that we started every day with a little bit of the mental stuff. Everybody had a focus, something they were going to work on every day in that camp. And then we would come back at the end and there'd be a little bit of recognition on how they thought they did, what they messed up on, what did they get better at. And I know we don't want to say names or anything, but you had a kid, and I'll butcher what he said, but he said something about, he said, I realized that my body language was telling everybody that I didn't care, but I really do care. And that told me that I need to adjust my thoughts so it changes my body language so I get better and we get better. It was something like that.
Yeah, it was incredible.
I could see your face behind him, and I was like, this is what I do. This is why I do what I do, because I could just see your face. He's a 17-year-old kid saying that in front of his peers.
Yeah, incredible. Again, chills again. Like,
yeah,
that was a moment. That was a moment. Yeah, that I'll remember for a long time. But I'm guessing he will too.
I think so too. Yeah. I think so too. I don't know. What did you pick up some of those at the end, Lane? Some of the things they said that you thought they were. I mean, you even had some stuff, because I know it was some of the stuff that we worked on.
What did I have? I'm trying to remember.
Oh, just some of the things that, I mean, we did your positive character meme, and we did some stuff like this. Like, yeah, that's yours right there.
That's why
that's a great example. So that's one of the things that we created. That's what we did on Thursday. The idea of making your positive voice be a third character as though they're talking to you. It's this weird, I call it a brain hack. And Lane's is Michael Jordan saying winning has a price. And you know what? That's when I knew, when we gave that assignment and we came back and you weren't there Friday.
Yeah.
And I got a little bit busy. We were trying to do the next thing. And a couple of them said, are we going to share our homework?
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah.
they were ecstatic about sharing it. And I thought, well, we're getting somewhere, that they really wanted to do this. So I was, yeah.
I mean, that's to my point. Like, that was in 3 days.
Yeah.
3 days. Like, I just am really excited about the potential if we continue to stack these days up throughout the season, of where they can become as competitors, not just on the court, but in, just, I know it's so cliche, but in life. Like, I'm just really excited about that.
Yeah. And then, of course, you saw that we ended every session with the 3 good things. It is 3 good things is something from a guy named Martin Seligman called the father of positive psychology. And what he says, and he started it with an idea that at the end of every day, and I should tell you this, I should tell Lane this, I should everybody listening, is to write down 3 things that went well and show some gratitude and with a little bit of explanation, and don't use repeats, right? You can't say the same thing every day, right? And I've modified that for athletics and said this should be something that every athlete should do after every practice and every game. And if I can convince the parents, it is the conversation that parents and kids should have in the car ride home instead of the other, is talking about what went well.
Yeah.
And I think what it does, if we're getting into the brain hack part, it trains your brain to look for things to be thankful for. And when you have to know you can't do repeats, you have to start looking for them in the moment, right? So during practice, something goes well and you go, oh, there's my thing. That's going to be one of my 3. And then you start looking for them, and it becomes an individual looking for positive things in the moment versus looking for negative things, which is what we tend to do. That's the natural reaction. And they really leaned into that. And that's something that, like, I know I'm not going to get myself out of a job here. I want to keep working with you, but that's something like, as a coach, that's something that you can say, hey, that can be part of your practice plan, right? Absolutely. Is how we do that.
And I think,
yeah,
like, another beauty of this camp, and for me, like I mentioned earlier, I think like the overall encompassing goal of this camp is like to bring awareness to this stuff of like how it's done and like what to do and how to do it. Because like you said, sometimes there's skeptical people out there about mental like performance enhancing and stuff, but we bring awareness that these 3 good things like you're talking about can become muscle memory, just like your shot. Like if you focus on finding these 3 good things within your workout, within the game, it becomes just second nature to you to focus on these positive things. That becomes just muscle memory.
That's the point.
It's no different. It's no different than the physical abilities that you have.
Well, as you heard me say this in the thing, that it's the same exact idea as getting in the weight room. Like I use this analogy all the time that like a kid that would go to the weight room one time and expect to just come out jacked and swole is ridiculous, right? You have to keep doing it. And the mental stuff is the exact same way. We have to do this over and over and over again if we want to have the same kind of results. That's what it takes. But the thing is, every time you get in the weight room, like you get a little bit more comfortable, gets a little bit easier. You can lift a little bit longer, a little bit harder. It's the same with the mental, right? It gets a little bit easier, a little bit more comfortable. You don't have to think about it. You know the form. You already know all this stuff. You've laid the groundwork. But the hardest part is the beginning. That's no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Coaches, do you dream of guiding mentally tough athletes towards a championship? Kids that are resilient, persistent, and unshaken by setbacks. Well, in today's world, those athletes aren't born. They have to be developed. Many athletes face significant challenges and risk burnout. So how do we foster that mental toughness without overwhelming them? Well, introducing the Ember to Inferno program, Building Mentally Tough Athletes. This series is designed specifically for coaches, offering a deep dive into your own journey of mental toughness and equipping you with practical tools to build confidence and belief in your athletes. Rather than just simply adding more adversity to their life, we focus on creating a strong foundation for mental resilience. You'll learn how to transform a spark of motivation into a blazing fire of toughness, using techniques that address challenges like social media pressures, athletic stress, and trauma. Don't just wish for mentally tough athletes, build them. Join the Ember to Inferno program today and ignite the potential in your athletes. For more information, contact me, Coach Thomann, at Mental Mettle Coaching.
I just wanted to speak to your 3 gratitudes because it was about 4 years ago now, maybe 5, that a friend of mine turned me on to that as a daily exercise in the evening. And I remember when he encouraged me to do it. First of all, I think it's a game changer. I think if the athletes, any coach out there, not even anybody listening, it's a game changer to your life. My life, it has been. And I just remember him telling me, though, when he first started it, this friend of mine, and he was driving down the road and he saw an older couple walking down the sidewalk holding hands. And that was one of his gratitudes that day. And his point to me with telling me that was, prior to starting that exercise in his life, as you already alluded to, he never would have even recognized it. And he thought to himself, I hope my wife and I are doing that someday. And so point being is, you just mentioned it, like you will start seeking out those things. And it it is it is really powerful, and it's simple exercise to do.
It's crazy easy, crazy simple, and it changes your mindset around stuff. You start looking for things you can do instead of things that are not going your way.
Yep.
It's I don't know. It's amazing thing, and that's why I was like, of all that when I started putting this together, I knew that was how I was going to end every camp, and that because I want that something to be something that they work on, and I couldn't be.
You guys will be on my list tonight, by the way. Just telling you.
Well, and yeah, I appreciate that, Coach. I'm just going to tell you, I went. The woman that I learned coaching from, Megan Gilmore, runs Lark Song. I've talked about him on this podcast. She's been on this podcast. Just a phenomenal coach, and she's become a mentor of mine. I called her the other day, last week after this camp, and I told her that camp on Thursday was easily the coolest thing I've done in my mental coaching career since day one. It was the use of, because we put it into practice immediately.
Immediately, yeah.
Because that's one of the downside of coaching, and it's good, is that you have to be like, okay, here's how you're going to work on this. I'll get back to you. We're going to do it. We took basketball players and we talked about them, about what they could control, what they couldn't, talked about their voice, talked about their mindset, and then we put them through the adversity of basketball and of lifting, and immediately said, hey, there it is. Notice it? Can you tweak that? Can you tweak that? And then we'd ask, how's that going to help you if you tweak that? Oh, I'll be better at this. And so it was immediate. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen from the mental side of it, and I absolutely love it. I can't thank you enough for letting us do this.
No, I'm the one that's. I hate to get into this whole back and forth, but it was really beneficial to us. I was so happy to be a part of it. I wish I could have been there all 3 days for sure, but I think maybe even worked out better that I wasn't. I mean, you could make an argument that it may have, and so anyway, that's a topic for a different day. But we are better for it. And, everybody throws around the buzzword transformational now. And, are you a transformational coach, all that stuff. But those were transformational moments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think
Which is what, yeah.
When you were there on Thursday, Coach Brown, I think at the end you put it perfectly. Like parts of it truly were like emotional. Like it was just like amazing just to see some of the stuff that like happened and that transpired.
I agree.
I will say it for my last day. The power of coaching. This it's so transformational, and it's so cool, and it's a great process. I love that I'm able to do it. It's fantastic, and and honestly, yeah, I'm so excited to be able to get to do it with Lane too. It's been great. So
I can't even imagine what that's like. I mean, my daughters are dancers and stuff, so I'm, maybe someday I can help out with that. But no, on a serious note, those that are watching, there's some coaches out there that'll watch this, a lot of them, and I would say I would just encourage them to reach out to you and Lane, because it will help their coaching as well. It will help them be a better leader. And I know all the people in my life that are in that position or coaches want that for themselves. We just always don't know how to get there.
Right.
Yep. So I think it helped the players, but it also helped me and my and our coaches that were there.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that coaches have to be willing to be transformed first if they want their kids to transform a little.
For sure. For sure.
All right, guys. Any last words of wisdom? Either one of you.
Well, I can't come on here without a quote.
Okay.
That's just what I do. Because I think truly almost nothing is original, Like there's people throughout history who have had all these ideas and stuff. So I think pretty famous quote from, I can't remember who said it, but some old Chinese philosopher guy, when he said, the man who loves walking will walk further than the man who loves the destination. And I think that perfectly encompasses the title for our camp, which is passion for the process. And I think there's two huge points in that quote. One is, if you have this mindset, you can go further than your destination. Like, if you focus on getting yourself better rather than getting first place, you can continue this process to build each day and not stop when you get to your destination. And then the second one is the fact that if you love walking, you're going to walk further than if you love the destination.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, developing that idea of loving it is going to make it's like, when you're, for me personally, when I'm training hard, does it suck? Yeah. But I love it at the same time, which is why I've consistently been able to do it year after year. And I know my basketball career is going to come to an end in the near future, but my next adventure, my next excursion, whatever I choose to do, I know I can have that same mindset, and I'm going to love the walk.
Yeah. I don't really have a whole lot to add to that. That was really good. That was well done. That's I have, you know, what's odd is I haven't even had that. I've never even heard that quote.
That's unusual.
I'll write that one down.
I feel like that may be going on the back of a t-shirt here pretty quick.
And maybe. All right.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
We might have to modify it.
It was good. I don't know. I'm also not. I'm not that smart, but I'm smart enough not to follow that up with much, Lane. That was really well put. But I will say, I mean, kind of piggybacking on what he said, but in terms of impact, guys, you're doing it, man. I mean, the quote out there that says, you're either going to have positive impact or negative impact. The thing you get to choose that. The one thing you can't choose is whether you have it. And you guys are choosing positive impact, and it's good to be a part of. I feel very blessed to have had the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work with you personally, but also hearing how the next one goes and the next one goes.
Yeah.
And I don't want you to improve every program around us. I told you that.
I got you. I know. I got you.
I can get beyond that. I can get beyond it.
I got you. I got you, Coach. We'll save a little something for you extra. How about that?
Yeah.
All right. Good deal.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. There you go. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you. See you guys.
See ya.
Parents, is your athlete ready for the upcoming sports season? They might have the strength, the speed, and the skills, but without confidence, they can still struggle when the game is online. Skill and strength are great. They're necessary, but they're not used to their full potential without the right mentality. Confidence is key. It's the key to unlocking that full potential. And at Mental Mettle Coaching, I offer personalized sessions designed to build the confidence your athlete needs for a successful season. My proven techniques empower them to perform under pressure, both on the field and in life. Don't let a lack of confidence hold them back. Book a free session today and discover the power of confidence. Visit the website, get started on the journey to a more confident, successful athlete with Mental Mettle Coaching. So as anybody should in their profession and in their endeavors and anything they do, you should always kind of be involving and changing how you do things. And it's since I ran this camp just last week, it was the third week in June, and then had this interview with Coach Brown and my son, Lane. I've started thinking about how I want to do things a little bit differently because I do a lot of team coaching. So my June and July right now are really busy. I'm working with several high school basketball teams, several high school football teams, traveling all over Central Illinois, working with these teams and doing a lot of stuff, the same mental stuff that I did in this camp, passion for the process. And I go and I work with them, and it's good stuff because they're in the middle of their camps, their summer workouts and stuff like that. So they're in some adversity. But I think as I do this, the thing I'm going to involve with and change is be a little bit more, as the coach, be a little bit more intentional about where your focus is and the next time you're going to apply it. So if we talk about your voice, your confidence, or your value, or whatever your focus is, so we even do a session on focusing on controllables, and then the rest of the sessions are all about things we can control, right? Like leaning into our values, our voice, our gratitude, things like that. But so we do that, and then being really intentional with the athletes and saying, what is your focus for your next game? What is your focus for your next practice? And how can you make that be your mental focus throughout it? And I think that if we can take an idea, if we can take something that we work on in a session and immediately apply it, and then if I can get the coaches, or if I come back and do another session and we can break down how it went, because it's not going to go perfect, right? There's going to be times that you struggle with the thing that you're trying to focus on, because that's the way progress works. And so that if we can come up with an idea, we can find a place that we know we're going to try to implement it, and then come back and talk about it. It's so useful for kids to be, and parents and coaches as they're coaching, because anytime that I do a team session, I never let a coach be a fly on the wall. That's one of my rules. Like if I show up and I'm coaching a team and the coach says, I'm going to watch, I'm like, that's not how this works. If you want to do the session without you, that's fine. And there's some benefit to that because the kids will open up. But if you want to be part of it, you're part of it, and you are mixed in with the kids. And no, you are not. When I'm running a coaching session, you're not in charge. You're part of the team. You have a different role on the team, no doubt, but that's okay. Your kids have different roles on the team, but I never let a coach be a fly on the wall. They're part of it. So whenever a coach is there, I'm making sure they have a mental focus for their next game or their next practice. Because I talk to coaches all the time that, like, if you're wanting transformation in your kids, you have to be willing to transform yourself. And it seems obvious, but we don't always do that as the adult. We think we know better. But anyway, I want to give them that focus. And then as they lean into it in a game or a practice, and then we come back and break down how we do and how can you change, how you can get better. The cool part about this camp that we just did, Passion for the Process, we can do all that in a 3-hour time frame. It's so impactful because it's so short doing that. But I think I'm headed to another football team has hired me to come and work with their team. They're at their summer retreat camp that they do. So I'm going to go and do like a 3-hour program with the team. They practice that night, and then they several their summer games the next day. And I'm going to make sure that every kid has a couple things they want to focus on as they go into that. And then I'm also going to make sure and give some accountability with the coaches. How are you guys going to follow up on that? How are you going to see how you did and how you can change that and how you can do that? Because I think that cycle is really important. Here's my focus. Here's the focus, the mental focus I want. Here's the adversity that is going to test that focus. And then the breakdown and the recognition. How did I do? How do I want to get better? And that's a cycle that we just want to continue to repeat. And that's how you get better at something. It would be the same with a physical skill, but we're just being a little bit more intentional with how we do the mental skills. And there again, I talk about those 3 skill sets. I don't think we give the mental skills the same priority that we do the physicals. I think when you work on a game skills for, say, basketball, and you work on a left-hand dribble, or you work on a new post move in the summer, you as a player, as a coach, you're like, I'm trying to get this kid to use it in games so they can try it and see how it works and see if they can start to add that to their bag, right? And that's something we want to do in the summer. Well, why aren't we doing that with the mental skills? We just kind of see them as an afterthought, or we just mention them. Well, why not just say, hey, here's this new voice you want to work on, this positive self-talk that you want to use. Here, let's have this be your focus for the next summer game. And then that's what you are going to use. It's going to feel awkward, just like a new post move. It's going to feel awkward, but we want you to do it anyway. And when we're done, we're going to break it down. How'd you do? How can we adjust it? How do we need to get better at it? And how can we practice it? I think that if we can treat those mental skills in the same way, we're going to get more progress with them. So I'm excited about doing that for this football team coming up. And also, if you're listening to this, we are running and it'll be in the show notes. Hopefully there's some still spots left when this comes out. By the time this comes out, it's next week. We're running an individual passion for the process camp. It's at Deer Creek Mackinac High School. It's going to be really good. It's just an individual can just sign up and do it. And we're going to do that same thing where we an hour each for 3 hours. So we do the mental, the physical, good hard workouts with Lane, and then in the gym again, good hard shooting workouts, mostly shooting and dribbling and just decision-making basketball skills in the gym. So check the show notes if hopefully there's still time and hopefully there's still spots you can do that. If you're listening to this and you're interested in some team coaching, or, it's a little late for the summer, but for basketball coaches next summer, get a hold of me if you want me to run. My son and I plan on doing this with some more teams. We did it again with Coach Brown at East Peoria this last week. So we're looking for teams to do that next summer. And it's also, and he didn't mention it here, but he's told me before, he likes the idea of a different voice coming in the summer. As a coach, sometimes you become white noise to your players. So if you're a coach, listen to this, let me know. I'd love to already start scheduling for next summer. It'd be great. Really looking forward to it. If you're not, obviously Lane's a basketball player and I lean into basketball, but if you are a coach of a different sport and you want to start seeing how you can develop building in these mental skills using some of this team coaching that I'm doing, by all means, get a hold of me and I'll start developing stuff with you. I could come in, how we could put it before a practice and then use a practice and then stick and talk to the kids after practice and how we can start to develop that. I would love the idea of working with that. I love working with teams. I'm getting a lot of teams that I'm starting to work with, and they keep hiring me back, which I think is a good sign. But I still got some room for some more, and I would love to do that. It's just really good stuff. Really enjoy it. If you can't tell, I'm really excited about this stuff, this passion for the process camp and this team coaching that I do. It's just a great way to give positive impact to these athletes, these high school kids, and to these coaches. I have such a passion for high school athletics and some college athletics that I am working with. And it's just, it's so much fun, so useful, really enjoy it. Get a hold of me. My information is all in the show notes. See how I can help your team. And I'd love to help. And I know I can. It's good. Anytime. One things I say all the time is whatever we focus on, we get better at. And if you just are this coach and you're like, man, my kids are mentally weak, or we're not together, and you don't really know how to do that, but you're not really focusing on it or putting drills on it or practicing exercises to do it, well, you're not really getting better at it. But the second you have a focus on that, and you make that something that your priority that you're going to do, you get better at it. And if you're not really sure how to do that, that's where you get some outside help and how I can help with that. And I really can. So yeah. Really excited about that. Get a hold of me. Let me know. But there's other people that can help, and there's other things you can do, but make sure it's part of your practice plan on working on mental and whatever you want to get better at, add it in there, give them a focus, give them something to work on during practice, and then come back and talk about how they did. And it's just, you're going to make a lot of progress in that. So yeah, it's been a great episode. I love this stuff. I really get a lot of fun. I really enjoy what I do, and I can't wait to see who I get to help next. So, but we're out of time right now. So this has been the Mental Mettle Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Matt Thomann, and always remember to forge your metal. Thanks for listening to the Mental Mettle Podcast. Don't forget to tune in every week for more insights and strategies to help you forge mental toughness and resilience. This podcast is brought to you by Mental Mettle Coaching, where we are driven by a passion for sharing knowledge and experience that empowers others to play, live, and grow with confidence. Our mission is to instill a resilient and spirited mindset in our clients, enabling them to confidently face adversity and actively seek new challenges for personal growth. At Mental Mettle Coaching, we offer individual coaching, group coaching, and professional development for schools and businesses. Whether you're an athlete, educator, or professional, we're here to help you unlock your potential and thrive in every area of life. Until next time, keep growing, stay resilient, and always remember to forge your mettle.